One step, one invisible world. In a world that always highlights the glitter of the stage, the shine of the camera lights, and the cheers of the fans, there is a moment that goes unnoticed: the silence. And in the midst of the hectic life of the stars, BTS's Seok-jin, Jin, becomes a figure who quietly walks down the aisle of reality that is rarely shown to the public. This time, not because of his new song, not because of his performance at a big festival, but because of a single photo, a single portrait that sparked a huge wave of concern and questions in ARMY circles. Is Jin really okay? Red envelopes and unusual faces viral on social media. A portrait shows Jin walking alone, wearing simple clothes but still classy. There's no camera. There's no security. It was just her and a red envelope he held tightly. But what was most striking was not the object, but the expression on his face, a mixture of fatigue, emptiness, and something that cannot be described in words. I am in the midst of busy human traffic. The genie's face implied an odd calmness. Isn't this a genie who is always full of passion and humor? Why does he look different now? Some ARMY likened his expression to someone who walks in the middle of a storm with his head held high, yet his heart is torn. A sentence that may sound poetic, but describes exactly the mood that emanates from the photograph. What happened before and after the portrait? The biggest question that arises after looking at the portrait is, what happened before the photo was taken? And more importantly, what happens after? Did Jin just meet someone? Has he received any important news? Or is he going to leave something? Theories began to emerge. One suspects that Jin is on his way to HITV agency's office for an important meeting. Others speculate that the red envelope may have been a letter from someone special, perhaps a love letter, or maybe something much more personal. Not a few also see this as part of the post-military emotional transition, a period in which a man accustomed to being highlighted suddenly has to adjust to a moving world without a stage, without fans, without euphoria. That world, quiet, Jin. Superstars that remain human. We know Jin as the oldest member of BTS, a figure full of charisma and jokes. But sometimes, the figure who looks the strongest is the one who is the best at hiding wounds. And in the photo, we don't see an idol. We see a human being. Many compared this moment to the lyrics of the song, The Astronaut, which he performed with Coldplay. The lyrics about solitude, about finding direction, about being a light in the dark. It all feels like a reflection of the portrait. You and me, my universe / and I just want to put you first. But who put the genie first? Behind the millions of fans who love him, does he also have space to love himself? Red envelopes, a symbol or a gesture. In Korean culture, red envelopes have various meanings. It can mean an invitation, a gift, a congratulation, or even a farewell notice. So it's no wonder that fans immediately associate the color of the envelope with various possibilities. Did I an invitation to a private event? A letter from someone close? Important documents from the agency? Or is it a symbol of separation from someone who means a lot to him? A fan writes, I don't know what's in that envelope, but I'm sure something in Jin's life is changing. And I hope he doesn't have to face it alone. ARMY reaction, from anxious, curious, to overwhelmed social media is full of speculation and worry. ARMY from various parts of the world began to convey moral support. His face looks tired, not physically tired, but emotionally. He was alone in the crowd. It feels like a metaphor of celebrity life. If he needs time for himself, we will wait, whatever it is. Some fans even admitted to shedding tears when they saw the photo because they felt like Jin was talking through the silence, not through song, not through live broadcast, but passed by one still image that is louder than a scream. What does the agency say? Shut up, 1,000 languages as usual. HYB remained silent. No official statement, no clarification, no explanation. And maybe that's not something I want to explain. Jin himself has also not responded directly. No Weverse uploads, no Instagram stories, no comments. Just silence. And sometimes, silence is the most powerful answer. Did I ask this part of a secret project? Few people see this from the other side. Is this part of a hidden campaign? Jin is known as a sensitive and intelligent artist. Could it be this is all part of the visual narrative for his upcoming solo album, Red Envelope, Strong Color? Gloomy face deep emotions. Quiet atmosphere and the crowd existential symbolism. If it is true that this is part of the project, then this is a very artistic and touching approach. However, for most fans, this is more than just art. It's about real emotions, about someone who is probably struggling in silence. Cover. One image, 8,000 interpretations. The genie moment captured in the portrait has become a new symbol in the hearts of the army. A symbol of solitude, fortitude, and the human side of a world star. We may never know for sure what happened that day. We may never know the contents of that red envelope, but one thing we know for sure, the army will not let Jin feel alone. Behind the screen, behind the big smile, and behind the magnificent stage, there is a man named Seok-jin who just wants to be understood. And now, the world sees him, not as an idol, but as a human being. Army, what do you think? Is this just an ordinary moment that happened to be captured on camera? Or is there an untold story? Is this a sign of something big? Or just a moment of contemplation of a man who is learning to know himself again? Leave your opinion. As it may be, from one voice, Jin could sense that he wasn't really alone. When friends are silent, the world asks, as one portrait of Jin shook the hearts of millions of ARMY, the next question naturally arose. Where are the other BTS members? Why was no one seen with him? Do they know what really happened to their Jungkook, who is known to be very close to Jin and has often been seen slipping hidden attention on various occasions, has not shown any reaction. In fact, previously, he was known as the first person who often responded to any uploads or news about Jin, even since they were serving in the army, Jimin as well. While he has recently been more active on social media and live broadcasts, there has not been the slightest comment about Jin's portrait, which is suddenly being discussed. Instead, what appears are cheerful broadcasts that feel awkward when connected to the empty expression of the genie. Do they really not know? Or is it, they chose silence to guard something? Observer says. It's not just loneliness. An observer of celebrity behavior from South Korea stated in an interview with local media that Jin's expression in the portrait carries a deep psychological meaning. The blank but meaningful gaze that Jin displayed was a reflection of emotional exhaustion. Not only because of the pressure of the entertainment world, but also because of the possibility of an inner conflict or a period of great transition in his life. The observer also added that the post-military period is often a stressful time for Korean artists. The world changes as they leave, and when they return, they must look again for their position, not just in the industry, but in their own lives. Many idols look confident on stage, but lose their way when all the lights go out, he added. And seeing Jin in a moment like this, maybe it's not only about being alone in a crowd, but also about finding himself again who is lost. Another theory, personal or relationship problems. Behind the support also appeared a variety of wild speculation. Some longtime fans began to bring up Jin's past, including his personal relationships that are often kept secret from the public. Did Jin just break up? Or even receiving sad news from someone who used to be close to him? Not a few suspect that the red envelope is the last letter from someone who means a lot. It could be a family member, a close friend, or even someone from his past who has been closely guarded from the spotlight. Social media users even compared the look on Jin's face in the photo to her expression when she cried silently backstage at a concert in 2019 when she admitted that she was going through a difficult time due to her father's health condition. Could be, it's not just about him as an idol. It's about him as a child, as a man, as a human being who sometimes needs time to process loss or pain without having to explain to the world. BTS members. How do they feel? It is undeniable. Jin is the brother figure in the group. Not only because he is the oldest, but because he is always on guard, even though he sometimes looks nosy. If it's true that Jin is facing emotional pressure, do the other members know about it? There is one interesting moment from V. Taeyoung, who wrote in Weverse.